President Trump back on the world stage, Assad out, and frost warnings in Orlando, Florida coming up. Welcome back to the Week in Review. I'm Tony Alvarez, and this week what caught my attention was President Trump. So President Trump met with world leaders on the world stage today. He showed up in Paris for the reopening of Notre Dame, and it was everything that I thought it was going to be. So President Trump was greeted with warm welcomes by world leaders, and I'm telling you, there was a vibe. There felt like a vibe. There felt like just respect was back for the United States of America, and it was back through the people's election of Donald J. Trump. Now listen, I'm not going to mix it up anymore. I'm not going to kind of dance around it so that people don't get offended and they feel better about things. I'm going to tell you right now, thank God that Donald Trump got reelected. You can see it on the world stage. It is abundantly clear that there is a whole different vibe going on. There's a whole different feeling going on. You can see a whole different element of respect, and the world is changing at a rapid pace, and he hasn't even been sworn in yet. But let's face it, he doesn't need to be sworn in. Why does he not need to be sworn in? Joe Biden showed up to the reopening of Notre Dame. Joe Biden wasn't even there. So for all intents and purposes, President Trump is the president of the United States right now, and he's acting like it on the world stage. Check this out. Wow. You can literally see the respect oozing out all over the room, and I couldn't feel any better about it. It's amazing. And if you think the rest of the world isn't really, keying in on that same sentiment, look at this.
Donald Trump really has become the president. He stepped straight into it. The election's over. The world is coming to him. Trudeau was there this week. Others are rallying around to see him. It's like one of those scenes at The Godfather, James, where suddenly they all come to see the man who they know is in charge. There he is. The rest of the world has recognized that the next 4 years is going to be a renaissance of the West. It's the renaissance of the Western power. It's the renaissance of Western civilization. It's going to be a glorious period for employment, for prosperity. We're going to slay this woke dragon. That's gone. That's finished. And those leaders still clinging on to their woke credentials like Albo and that, they're gone as well. They're history.
So all I can tell you is the world is changing at a rapid pace since Donald Trump was elected president, and it's just exciting times that we're living in right now, but it's pretty scary times, and I'll tell you what makes a little bit of this scary. So as you probably heard, another thing that caught my attention is in Syria, Assad is out. The leader of Syria, Assad, is out. This is the Russia and Iranian-backed leader of Syria. He is out. The civil war, this coup worked against him. He's out of the country, and now you've got all kinds of forces moving in to take control. Now, you know how it is from a Middle Eastern perspective. When there is a power void, okay, when there's a void like that, all kinds of bad things can happen. So you have one regime that was in charge of Syria out. Now you have another regime that's fighting another regime, that's fighting another regime for power in Syria. That's bad as well. Ben Shapiro characterized it pretty well.
and indicative, again, of the weakness of Russia and Iran, what has happened in Syria. Now, net, I think it'll probably be a good thing, but there are no great things in the Middle East. It just doesn't exist. A lot of bad people in a lot of areas in the Middle East. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens next. Man, it's going to be very difficult to sort of see and foresee what happens from here on in, because there are just too many competitive groups. Many of them are terrorists on all sides of the aisle. And so everybody who's sort of happy talking this thing, oh, it's a day of liberty and freedom. Just hold your horses. It's certainly not a day of liberty and freedom for many of the Christians who are living in Syria. Unfortunately, it is not a day of liberty and freedom, I think, for pretty much anybody who's living in Syria, but it wasn't in the first place. It turns out, as always in the Middle East, a lot of bad answers to a lot of very difficult questions.
Now, look, admittedly, Syria, Middle Eastern foreign affairs, that is not my expertise. Again, in this show, we approach things from a layman's point of view, from an everyday person's point of view. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the particulars. But what I do know is when one power struggle is bad and then another one comes in and it's just as bad, we may see some issues. But the main things I'm looking at the world stage are very simple. Russia is losing a lot of power. They're fighting in Ukraine and they were backing Assad in Syria. Iran is losing a lot of power. You see, Hamas taking a beating, Hezbollah taking a beating, these from Israel. And now you're looking at Assad forced out of Syria because Syria just doesn't have that backup anymore. So Iran is struggling in the world stage. Russia is struggling in the world stage. I've even heard whispers that the economic situation in China is really not all that it's cut out to look like in the world stage today. So pretty much you're seeing a lot of things happening to a lot of bad actors. So is this really good? I don't know. It is good, obviously, but it's a very strange time in the world today, in the globe today, because when these kind of powers are desperate, it's frightening to think what they can do in their desperation. So time's only going to tell, but you know what? No better leader in office to look at this and handle this than President Trump. So again, with President Trump in office, I have more peace of mind. I'm more comfortable and I'm more excited. Look, let's not forget, in the last the last 4 years that Trump was president, there was literal no new wars, the Abraham Accords, literal world peace. That's what I'm gunning for again. I think that's why we all voted Trump back in office. To switch gears a little bit, and I'm an Orlando, Florida homer. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I was born in Puerto Rico, but raised almost my entire life here in Orlando, Florida. My wife went to UCF. My brother went to UCF. My son went to UCF. All my cousins went to UCF. My nephew goes to UCF. I think it's fair to say that I'm a pretty huge UCF fan. And with that being stated, Gus Malzahn pulled a fast one on UCF. Gave us one of our worst seasons in a while as we entered the Big 12, and then dipped out to be the offensive coordinator in FSU, made me think like his head wasn't in the game. But with that being said, there's frost warnings back in Orlando, Florida. Check this out.
UCF, to me, is unique in the country because it's still in its infancy. It might be a toddler now. When I came before, maybe it was in its infancy. But most schools in the country, when you look at the landscape of college football, are kind of pegged where they are. And generally speaking, that's where they're going to be. I always thought since the first time I came until now that the potential for growth and status in college football is bigger here than it is other places. And I'm excited to take the challenge to try to get it there.
That's right. Scott Frost is back. And I know there's a lot of people saying, man, I'm not happy about this. It feels like we're going back. Yeah, we're going back to somebody that led us to the 2017 controversial national title. And I couldn't be more excited. I think there needs to be a lot more discipline back on that UCF football team. I think there's got to be that, huddle. That's just the no huddle offense that Scott Frost back. And I think we're in for better times here at UCF. Here's a couple of clips of what 2017 looked like under Scott Frost.
With the field goal. That was a botched play from the start, of the ball's out. Scooped up by UCF with a block down the sideline. Trey Neal. Motion now, the clock winds. Good rush. Stidham under pressure, throws it. Intercepted. was trying to throw it away or what? But UCF is 24 seconds away from perfection. Perfection. Fourth quarter, second and goal. A fake reverse, Milton, almost like a basketball player. Touchdown! What a play! He put a move on. Him in the pocket, throws, it's intercepted, and it's going the other way. Burkett, touchdown!
I can definitely use some more of that. The future is bright here in UCF after an abysmal season. I couldn't be more excited about what's to come. So, hey, listen, if you're up against it, remember, it's just a short window of time. And if things are going good for you, ride that wave. I'm Tony Alvarez, Week in Review. Peace.